is Ebony, and welcome to the FilmSpark podcast. With the recent success of Australian horror film Talk to Me, you may be on the hunt for some more Aussie horror, but don't know where to look. That's where I come in. This is a list of 10 Australian horror films. Some you may know, some you may not, but I can assure there is something for everyone. So with that being said, in no particular order, let's get going. At number 10, we have Snapshot. Also known as The Day After Halloween, this 1979 Ozploitation flick seems to be a hit or miss with most viewers. Trying to show the dark side of fame and modelling, this movie follows Angela, played by a young Sigrid Thornton, who is kicked out of home and goes to live with her model friends. Soon after, she takes in their footsteps and dives into the modelling world herself, only to become a target for her ex-boyfriend, and the owner of a Mr. Whippy ice cream van, and the obsession of a colleague. Mixed between some light comedy spoof and serious topics, Snapshot is not one for all, but a great step into the Ozploitation genre. At number 9, we have Hounds of Love. Hounds of Love. Although the filmmakers never stated it was based on just one true crime story, it is clear that this harrowing film has taken much inspo from the true crimes of the Burneys. David and Catherine Burney were an Australian couple from Perth who murdered 4 women at their home in 1986, also attempting to murder a 5th. These crimes were referred to in the press as the Moorhouse Murders, after the Burneys' address at 3 Moorhouse Street in Willagee, a suburb of Perth. Hounds of Love showcases a couple, John and Evelyn White, as they kidnap and terrorise a teen around Christmas in 1987. Not holding back, Hounds of Love really puts you in the uncomfortable seat of watching the crimes unfold in front of you, as well as watching a mother's struggle looking for her missing child. This is an uncomfortable watch, however, it's not a film to miss. In at number 8, we have 100 Bloody Acres. With a switch of tone from Hounds of Love, 100 Bloody Acres is an Aussie classic of horror comedy. Chock full of Aussie slang and comedy, it follows the story of 2 farmers who collect car crash victims to use in their blood and bone fertilizer. In the past, this became a big booming financial hit for the farm. However, with the lack of local car crashes, they've run out of their prized ingredient. That is, until a car of festival goers breaks down nearby. At number 7, we have The Tunnel. One of the few on here that you may have heard of, The Tunnel is a great Aussie entry into the found footage genre. It follows a journalist and her crew as they go deep into the abandoned train tunnels under Sydney, where they believe a government conspiracy is being kept, only to go from hunting the story to the story hunting them. Coming in at number 6, we have Turkey Shoot. Turkey Shoot is an Australian remake of the classic The Most Dangerous Game from 1932. In a totalitarian country, any subversives, undesirables, and deviants are sent to a prison camp to be rehabilitated and be re-educated. The camp is run in fascist fashion, with guards torturing and killing prisoners for sport. The pinnacle of the guards' oppression is an event where a select band of prisoners are set free in the surrounding bush, to be hunted by the guards and special guests for a sport called the Turkey Shoot. Smack bang in the middle of the list, and possibly one of my favourite movies, comes Body Melt. Body Melt is a 1993 Australian independent science fiction black comedy body horror, directed by Philip Brophy and written by Brophy and Rod Bishop. Packed to the brim with Aussie soap stars and familiar faces, Body Melt brings Brophy's avant-garde background and performance art background to life, with splatter and goo aplenty. It follows the residents of Peaceful Pebbles Court in Holmesville, who are being used unknowingly as test experiments for the new body drug that causes rapid body decomposition, melting skin, and painful death. Coming in at number 4 is another one that you may have heard of, and that is Killing Ground. Killing Ground follows Ian Smith and Samantha Shaw, who are a couple taking a romantic trip for New Year's Eve. On the way, they meet German, a man who advises them to set up camp at a beach near a waterfall. When they arrive, they set up camp to an abandoned campsite with no trace of its occupants. A few nights later, they become concerned when they discover a traumatized baby on his own. What follows is a game of cat and mouse, and they must survive in the outback against who or what it is that killed their neighbours. In at 3 is 2007's Storm Warning. On a weekend boating excursion, husband and wife Rob and Pia become lost and end up in the most unlikely of places, a thick brush-filled marsh on an island in the middle of nowhere. With their boat in disarray, darkness coming on, and a heavy thunderstorm starting up, their only solution is to look for help or seek shelter of some kind. They finally come across a decrepit house and barn with no one home. However, there are definite signs of the house being inhabited, and the enormous crop of marijuana in the barn suggests that the homeowners may not welcome their presence. Even worse, there is no telephone or means of communication to the outside world. But when the deranged redneck owners Brett, Jimmy, and their even more sadistic father Poppy return, Rob and Pia realize a fear far beyond anything they've ever known before. In at number 2, we have Bloody Hell. During a bank robbery, Rex, a fellow with the habit of talking to himself or his subconscious, takes down the robbers, and after several gunshots he successfully secures the entire establishment. But unfortunately the whole successful mission ends in a tragic way for which he is tried and imprisoned. After doing his time, he moves to Finland for a break, but gets trapped by a twisted cannibal family with a very dark secret. And lucky last is Dying Breed. Based on the lore of Alexander Pierce, a cannibal who was hung in 1924 for cannibalism, intertwined within this story is a group of researchers on the hunt for a living Tasmanian tiger. While in the Tasmanian wilderness, they come across the descendants of Alexander Pierce, who they discover aren't that different from Alexander after all. This brings us to the end of the video. 10 Australian horrors that you may or may not have heard of. I hope you enjoyed and possibly added some newbies to your watch list. Again, my name is Ebony. This is the Film Spark Podcast, and thank you for listening.